Enugu mornings had a rhythm of their own. The sun would rise gently, spilling golden light over zinc rooftops and dusty roads. Roosters crowed like they had something important to announce, while women arranged their goods in small roadside stalls, calling out to early buyers. The scent of roasted corn and fresh akara floated through the air, mixing with laughter and the distant hum of passing motorcycles. But for Desmond and Chisom, the world existed in just one place, under the mango tree. It stood proudly behind Chisom's family house, its branches wide and generous, offering shade like a protective guardian. The ground beneath it was soft with fallen leaves, and every afternoon it became their kingdom. Desmond was already there, as usual, barefoot, simple faded shirt, a stick in his hand, drawing something serious on the ground, like an architect with big dreams. Chisom ran toward him, her small sandals slapping against the earth. "Desmond!" she called excitedly. He looked up immediately, his face lighting up. "You're late today," she pouted. "Mummy said I should finish my food first. As if food is more important than you." Desmond laughed. "Food is important, oh. Even big CEOs eat." She tilted her head. "CEO? What is that again?" He stood up, brushing dust off his shorts like a tiny businessman. "Chief Executive Officer, the owner of a company." She clapped. "Then I will be CEO too." Desmond shook his head playfully. "No, you will be my partner." She squinted. "Partner? Like bread and butter?" He grinned. "Better than bread and butter." Chisom dropped beside him, pulling her knees close. "Show me what you are drawing." On the ground was a rough sketch of a building, tall, wide, important. "This," Desmond said proudly, "is my company." She gasped dramatically. "It's bigger than my daddy's office." "Of course," he replied, lifting his chin. "My own will have glass everywhere, and computers, plenty computers." She pointed at a small circle in the drawing. "What is this one?" "That's your office." Her eyes widened. "My own office?" "Yes," he said simply. "You'll sit beside me. We'll make decisions together." Chisom smiled so wide it almost hurt her cheeks. "Then I will be wearing big heels like Mummy." Desmond burst out laughing. "You that cannot even walk straight in slippers." She hit him lightly. "I can walk, see?" She stood up and tried to strut like her mother, wobbling dramatically until she almost fell. Desmond quickly caught her. "Careful," he said. She giggled, holding on to him. "You said you will protect me." He became serious for a moment. "I will," he said quietly. There was something in his voice, something strong, something real. Even at 12, Desmond carried a kind of responsibility most children didn't understand. Chisom noticed it too, even if she couldn't explain it. They sat back down, and Desmond reached up, skillfully pulling down a ripe mango with a long stick. He split it open with his hands and handed her the bigger half. She frowned. "Why is my own bigger?" "Because you talk too much," he teased. She laughed, juice already dripping down her fingers. "You like my talking." "Maybe small," he admitted. They ate in comfortable silence, the kind only true friendship or something deeper could create. After a while, Chisom leaned her head on his shoulder. "Desmond, whatever it is, will you forget me when you become rich?" He didn't even hesitate. "No." "What if you travel?" "I will come back." "What if you see another girl?" He turned to look at her properly now. "I won't." She searched his face, trying to see if he was joking. He wasn't. She stretched out her pinky finger again. "Promise me." Desmond hooked his finger around hers firmly. "I promise." "I promise too," she whispered. "I won't leave you." They sealed it with a small laugh, a childish promise, but one that felt unbreakable. Unfortunately, not everyone believed in their little world. From the balcony of the house, Chisom's mother watched them. Her lips tightened. "That boy again," she muttered. Inside, the house told a different story from Desmond's life. Polished tiles, cushioned furniture, framed family photos, a television that always worked. To her, Desmond represented something she refused to accept. lack, struggle, limitation, and she would not allow her daughter to be tied to it. That evening, as the sun began to set and paint the sky orange, Chisom walked Desmond to the gate. "I will come tomorrow," she said. "I'll be here," he replied. She hesitated, then suddenly hugged him, tight, unexpected. Desmond froze for a second, then gently hugged her back. "Don't forget," she whispered. "I won't," he said. She ran inside happily. But her happiness didn't last long. "Chisom," her mother's voice cut sharply through the house. She stopped. "Yes, Mummy. I told you to stop playing with that boy." Chisom's smile faded. "But, Mummy—" "No," her mother snapped. "Look at where he comes from. Look at us. Do you want to suffer in this life?" "I don't care," Chisom said, tears forming. "He is my friend." Her mother's eyes hardened. "From today, you will not go near him again." Silence filled the room. Chisom's small hands clenched. "But, Mummy, I promised him." "I don't care about your promise," her mother said firmly. "You are my daughter. You will do as I say." That night, under the same mango tree, Desmond waited, and waited, and waited. The moon rose quietly, replacing the sun, but Chisom never came. He looked toward her house, confused. "She said she would come," he whispered, but deep down, something didn't feel right. For the first time, the mango tree felt lonely, and a promise began its long journey through time. The mango tree still stood in the same place, but everything else had changed. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Desmond kept going back to that spot after school, sitting on the same patch of earth where laughter used to live. At first, he believed it was temporary. Maybe her mummy just punished her small, he told himself. But as time passed, hope slowly began to feel like a lie he was forcing himself to believe. One afternoon, he sat quietly, tracing lines in the sand again. Only this time, there was no one asking questions, no laughter interrupting his thoughts. Just silence. "Chisom," he muttered under his breath. He didn't know it yet, but that name would become both his strength and his pain. Not far from there, inside a compound filled with activity, boxes were being packed. Chisom stood in the middle of her room, confused and restless, as her mother directed workers. "Mummy, why are they carrying my things?" she asked, her small voice trembling. Her mother didn't even look at her. "We are relocating to Lagos." "Lagos," she repeated slowly. "What about my school, my friends?" Her mother paused briefly. "You will attend a better school there. Everything will be better." Chisom hesitated. "What about Desmond?" That name again. Her mother turned sharply this time, her face stern. "You will forget that boy." Chisom shook her head immediately. "No, I won't." Her father, who had been quietly supervising the movers, sighed. "Chisom." She ran to him. "Daddy, tell Mummy. I need to tell him goodbye at least." Her father looked conflicted. For a moment, his softer side almost showed, but then business replaced emotion. "It's too late," he said gently. "We are leaving today." Her heart dropped. "Today?" she whispered. That evening, a sleek car drove out of their compound. Chisom sat in the back seat, clutching her small bag tightly. As they passed the road leading to the mango tree, she pressed her face against the window. "Stop! Please stop!" she cried, but the driver didn't. "Mummy, please!" she begged, tears streaming down her face. "I just want to see him." Her mother remained unmoved. "Sit properly." The car sped past, and just like that, two childhoods separated by more than distance. Back at the mango tree, Desmond sat alone again. This time something was different. A strange heaviness filled his chest. He stood up slowly and walked toward Chisom's house. The gate was open, but everything felt empty. "Hello?" he called softly. No answer. He stepped inside cautiously. The compound that used to feel lively now echoed with absence. A neighbor woman spotted him and shook her head. "You didn't hear?" she said. Desmond looked confused. "Hear what?" "They've moved to Lagos." The words hit him like a physical blow. "Moved?" he repeated. "Yes. Big people now. Big company. They don't stay here again." Desmond stood still. His mind refused to accept it. "They didn't tell me," he said quietly. "Life is like that, my son." But to Desmond, it didn't feel like life. It felt like something had been taken from him. That night he didn't sleep. He sat outside his small house, staring into the darkness. His mother came out and sat beside him. "You've been quiet," she said gently. He didn't respond at first. Then finally, "She left," he said. His mother didn't need explanation. She had seen everything from afar. The friendship, the laughter, the sudden silence. "She didn't want to go without telling me," he continued, his voice breaking slightly. "I know her." His mother placed a hand on his shoulder. "Some things are not in our control." Desmond clenched his fists. "I will find her." His mother looked at him carefully. "I will become something," he continued, determination rising in his voice. "Something big, so nobody can separate us again." There it was, the birth of a fire. Not anger, not revenge, purpose. Years began to pass like pages turning quickly. In Lagos, Chisholm's life transformed completely. Her new home was massive. Gleaming floors, chandeliers that sparkled like stars, air conditioners in every room. Her wardrobe changed, her school changed, her environment changed. But one thing refused to change: her heart. At night, when everything was quiet, she would sit by her window, hugging her pillow. "Desmond," she would whisper. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she smiled at memories only she could see. Her mother noticed and didn't like it. "You are still thinking about that boy?" she asked one day. Chisholm lifted her chin stubbornly. "Yes." Her mother scoffed. "You will outgrow it." But she didn't. Meanwhile, in Enugu, Desmond grew. Life was not easy. His parents struggled, often stretching little into just enough. Sometimes there was no electricity. Sometimes food was uncertain. But Desmond never complained. Instead, he studied. Relentlessly, books became his escape, dreams became his fuel. And every night before sleeping, he would look up at the ceiling and whisper, "Wait for me." By the time he turned 16, something about him had changed. He was no longer just a boy with dreams. He was becoming a young man with direction, focused, calm, determined. His teachers noticed. "Desmond," one of them said, adjusting his glasses, "you are going places." Desmond simply nodded, because in his mind there was only one destination. Far away in Lagos, Chisholm stood in front of a mirror, adjusting her school uniform. At 17, she had grown into a beautiful young lady, graceful, confident, but carrying a quiet longing deep inside. Her mother walked in. "Your admission to University of Lagos is ready," she announced. Chisholm turned. University. A new chapter, a new chance. She didn't know why, but something inside her stirred. Hope. Maybe, just maybe, fate wasn't done yet. And somewhere else, Desmond was already walking toward that same destiny, unaware, unstoppable, and still holding on to a promise made under a mango tree. Lagos was not like Enugu. Lagos was loud, fast, unapologetically alive. The air carried ambition and impatience in equal measure. Cars honked like they were arguing, street vendors moved like warriors, and every corner of the city whispered the same thing: if you want to survive here, you must become something. For Chisholm, Lagos was supposed to be a fresh start. For Desmond, it was a battlefield, a grand arrival. The morning sun reflected off the polished body of a sleek black Lamborghini as it rolled into the University of Lagos campus. Heads turned instantly. Students paused mid-conversation. See motor. Na student dey drive that kind car? Money na water." The car door opened slowly, and then she stepped out. Chisholm, dressed in a fitted, elegant outfit, her long hair flowing effortlessly, designer sunglasses resting lightly on her face. She looked every inch like the life Lagos had given her. But inside, she was still the little girl under the mango tree. Her driver rushed around. "Madam, should I wait?" She nodded slightly. "Yes, I won't be long." As she walked toward the mass communication department, whispers followed her like a shadow. She fine no be small. Who be her papa? I must toast this one. Chisholm ignored them all. Her eyes scanned the environment, not for attention, but for something familiar. Something, or someone. A different kind of entrance. Across campus, in a less glamorous corner near the Faculty of Science, Desmond adjusted his backpack and walked with quiet purpose. No one turned to look at him. No flashy car, no designer clothes. Just a young man with sharp focus in his eyes and a mind that refused to settle for less. "Guy, you day always serious like say life na exam," David said, jogging up beside him. Desmond smirked slightly. "Life is exam," David hissed. "A beg free me. Not only you go graduate with first class and still be motivational speaker." Desmond chuckled. "You don't finish that assignment?" David asked. "Since yesterday." "Wickedness," David muttered. "Some of us never even understand the question." Desmond shook his head. "You go survive." But even as they joked, a small part of Desmond felt restless, like something was near, something important. He just couldn't explain it. Parallel lives. Chisholm sat in her lecture hall, trying to focus. The lecturer's voice echoed, but her mind drifted. She tapped her pen lightly. "Why do I feel like something is about to happen?" she wondered. Meanwhile, just a few blocks away, Desmond sat in his own lecture hall, typing rapidly on his laptop, already solving problems ahead of the class. Two worlds, one campus, one destiny, still disconnected. The first thread of fate. Later that morning, David wandered toward the mass communication department, curiosity leading him. "Make I just see this Lamborghini girl," he muttered. As he approached, he saw her, standing under a shade, checking her phone. He forgot how to breathe. "Jesus, this one no be ordinary fino," he whispered. He adjusted his shirt quickly and walked up with sudden confidence. "Hi," he said, flashing a smile. Chisholm looked up briefly. "Hello. I'm David," he continued smoothly. "Department of Computer Science." She nodded politely. Chisholm. That name. Simple, but it carried weight. David grinned. "Nice name. You just resume?" "Yes." "You go like campus?" he asked. "It's okay," she replied, clearly uninterested. David didn't notice, or chose not to. "You came with that Lamborghini abi?" he asked, eyes shining. She gave a small nod. "Ah, you don't finish life," he laughed. Chisholm forced a faint smile. But her attention had already drifted again, searching, waiting, for something she couldn't name. A name that shook the past. That evening, David burst into their hostel room like a man who had just discovered gold. "Desmond, I don't see her." Desmond barely looked up from his laptop. "See who? That rich girl I tell you about." Guy, she fine die. And her name?" He paused dramatically. Desmond sighed. "Say it." Chisholm. Everything stopped. The sound of typing ceased. The room felt suddenly smaller. "What did you say?" Desmond asked slowly. "Chisholm," David repeated. "Why, you know her?" Desmond's heart began to race. It can't be, he thought. There were many people named Chisholm. It had to be a coincidence, right? He swallowed. "Which department?" he asked. "Mass comm." His chest tightened. Still, it could be anyone. "Describe her," Desmond said. David's face lit up. "Fine, rich, calm. She no to send anybody." Desmond looked away. That didn't help. His mind started racing with memories. Laughter, mango juice, promises. No, it can't be her. But what if it was? The search. The next day, David dragged Desmond along. "Come now, make we go confirm," he insisted. Desmond hesitated. "I don't think it's necessary." "Guy, what did you day fear? You be ghost?" David teased. Reluctantly, Desmond followed. As they approached the mass communication department, his heartbeat grew louder with every step. Students moved around. Voices echoed. Everything blurred. Then they reached. David looked around. She supposed they here. They checked the lecture hall. Empty. They checked outside. Nothing. David frowned. Strange. Desmond stood still. A strange disappointment settled in his chest. "Let's go," he said quietly. David sighed. Maybe tomorrow. But Desmond already felt it, that invisible hand of fate, pulling them close and pushing them apart. A mother's fear. At that same time, far away in their luxurious Lagos home, Chisam's mother sat in a high-backed chair, her phone pressed to her ear. "What do you mean he is in that university?" she demanded. "Yes, Ma," the voice on the other end replied. "Desmond, computer science." Her grip tightened. So it was true. After all these years, that boy was still a threat. She stood up immediately. "No," she muttered. "This will not happen." Her mind was already made up. "Prepare her documents," she ordered coldly. "She is leaving Nigeria." Unseen goodbyes. That evening, Chisam returned home to unexpected news. "You are traveling," her father announced. She blinked. "Traveling? Where?" "Canada." Her heart dropped. "So soon?" she asked. Her mother crossed her arms. "It's for your future." Chisam hesitated. Something inside her resisted. Something told her, "Stay." But she didn't understand why. And she had no choice. The cruel pattern continues. The next day, Desmond returned to the department again, still hoping, still searching. But she was already gone, miles away, airborne. Once again, they missed each other. Not by years this time, but by hours. Two hearts, one promise, and a destiny that refused to bring them together easily. But fate was not finished yet. University life didn't slow down for anyone. Lectures continued. Assignments piled up. Students chased grades, friendships, and sometimes illusions of love. But for Desmond, something had shifted. A name had been mentioned. A memory had been stirred. And no matter how much he tried to focus, it kept returning. Chisam. David, the lover boy David, on the other hand, had already entered a completely different phase of life. "Guy, I dawn fall," he declared dramatically one evening, lying flat on his bed like a man struck by lightning. Desmond didn't look up from his laptop. "You fall from where?" "From love," David sighed. "Serious love." Desmond shook his head. "You don't start again. I'm telling you this one different," David insisted, sitting up suddenly. "The way she talks, the way she carries herself, even the way she ignored me, everything just sweet." Desmond raised an eyebrow. "You like person way no like you?" David pointed at him. "That is where the challenge is." Desmond laughed. "You need help." "I need her," David corrected confidently. A plan that sounded like trouble. The next morning, David was already dressed before Desmond woke up. "Stand up," he shouted, pulling the blanket. Desmond groaned. "What is your problem?" "We're going to mass comm again." Desmond sat up slowly. "Again?" "Yes, today we must see her." Desmond hesitated. Something inside him wasn't sure he wanted to confirm anything. Because what if it wasn't her? Or worse, what if it was? Still, David wouldn't rest. "Guy, I beg, just follow me. If no be your Chisam, we go just greet and go." "My Chisam?" Desmond repeated quietly. David froze. "Wait, you serious?" Desmond didn't answer. He just stood up and picked his shirt. The walk of uncertainty, the walk to the mass communication department, felt longer than usual. Desmond's steps were slower, his thoughts louder. Every girl they passed made his heart react, only to calm down again. "Relax, nah," David said. "You dey behave like person way dey go right jam again." Desmond gave a dry smile. Something like that. They finally arrived. Students moved in and out of the building. Laughter filled the air. David scanned the area eagerly. She must stay around. Desmond stood still, watching, waiting, hoping. A presence that was gone. They checked one lecture hall. Empty. They checked another. Nothing. David scratched his head. This girl Seth. A nearby student overheard them. "Who you dey find?" David turned quickly. "Chisam. Tall. Fine. Calm." The girl nodded slowly. "Oh, that one?" Desmond's heart skipped. Yes, David said eagerly. "You know her?" "She done travel," the girl said casually. Silence. David blinked. "Travel? Go where?" "Abroad. I hear say Canada or something like that. Her people just carry her go suddenly." Desmond felt the words hit him like cold water. "Suddenly?" he repeated. The girl shrugged. "Rich people things." And just like that, hope slipped through his fingers again. The joke that wasn't funny. David turned to Desmond, trying to lighten the mood. "Guy, no worry, another Chisholm go come," he said with a weak laugh. Desmond didn't respond. He just stared ahead. Then quietly, "Let's go." David followed, this time without jokes. Even he could feel it now. This wasn't ordinary. Meanwhile, in the sky high above the clouds, Chisholm sat quietly by the airplane window. Her headphones were on, but no music played. She stared outside, lost in thought, like she was leaving something important behind. She placed her hand on the glass. "Why do I feel like I'm running away from something?" she whispered. Her mother, seated beside her, glanced over. "You'll thank me later," she said firmly. Chisholm didn't reply, because deep down, she wasn't sure. A mother's victory or mistake. Back in Lagos, Chisholm's mother sat comfortably in their luxurious living room. Modern interior, polished marble floors, soft ambient lighting, and gold-accented furniture that reflected wealth and control. She sipped her tea with satisfaction. "Finally," she muttered, "that boy will not disturb her future again." Her husband looked at her carefully. "Are you sure this is necessary?" She gave him a sharp look. "Do you want your daughter to marry poverty?" He sighed. "It's not always about money." She leaned forward. "Everything is about money." But somewhere in her confidence, there was fear. Because no matter how far she sent Chisholm, she couldn't erase a promise. A quiet resolve. Back in his hostel room, Desmond sat silently. David watched him carefully. "You okay?" he asked. Desmond nodded slowly. "She's gone," he said. David hesitated. "You still think it was her?" Desmond exhaled. "I don't know," he admitted, but something inside him said otherwise. Something deep and unshakable. He looked down at his hands, then clenched them. "I can't keep chasing shadows," he said. David nodded. "So, what now?" Desmond looked up. His eyes were different now. Focused, stronger. "I build myself." The turning point. That night, while others slept or scrolled through their phones, Desmond sat at his desk, books open, laptop glowing, mind sharp. No distractions, no chasing, no waiting, just growth. "If fate wants us to meet," he whispered quietly, "it will happen." Then he added, "But next time, I won't be the boy she left behind." Sometimes, life brings people close enough to touch, only to pull them apart again. Not to punish them, but to prepare them. Because when they finally meet again, they won't be the same people they used to be. Snow fell like silence. Soft, white, endless. Canada was nothing like Nigeria. No loud horns, no roadside arguments, no smell of roasted corn or dust in the air. Everything was controlled, organized, cold, very cold. Desmond stepped out of the airport, adjusting his coat awkwardly. "Ah," he hissed as the wind slapped his face. "This cold no get respect." The taxi driver chuckled. "First time?" Desmond nodded. "You can tell?" "You're talking to the weather," the driver laughed. Desmond shook his head, pulling his coat tighter. "In my country, the weather behaves." A new world. The university campus looked like something from a movie. Tall buildings covered in glass, snow layered neatly on rooftops. Students walked briskly, wrapped in thick jackets, their breaths visible in the air. Desmond stood still for a moment, taking it all in. "So this is the next level," he murmured. His scholarship had brought him here. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every moment of discipline. It had all led to this. But even in that moment of achievement, something was missing. Or rather, someone. A familiar stranger. Across campus, inside a modern lecture building, Chisholm stood in front of a mirror. Her reflection stared back at her, elegant, mature, composed. She had grown, no longer the playful little girl under the mango tree. Now she carried herself with quiet confidence, but her eyes still searched. Her friend Amaka leaned against the wall watching her. "You've checked that mirror 5 times, Amaka said. "Who are you trying to impress?" Chisholm smiled faintly. "No one." Amaka raised an eyebrow. "Lie." Chisholm sighed. "I just feel restless." "Final year stress," Amaka said casually, but Chisholm shook her head. It's not that. She didn't know how to explain it. How do you describe missing someone you haven't seen in years? Someone you're not even sure still exists in your life? The almost collision. That afternoon, Destiny tried again. Desmond walked quickly through a busy hallway, his attention on his phone as he checked his schedule. At the same time, Chisom turned a corner, distracted by a message from her father. They moved toward each other, fast, unaware. Then, bump. "Oh, I'm so," Chisom started. "Sorry," Desmond said at the same time. For a split second, time slowed, but not enough. Chisom adjusted her bag quickly. "It's okay." Desmond nodded. "Yeah, sorry." And just like that, they walked past each other. No pause, no recognition, nothing, except a strange feeling. A feeling that wouldn't leave. Desmond stopped after a few steps. Something felt off. He turned slightly, but all he saw was a crowd of students moving in different directions. He frowned. "Why does that feel familiar?" he muttered. Meanwhile, Chisom also slowed down. She glanced back briefly, but Desmond had already turned away. Her brows furrowed. "That voice," she whispered. But then, her phone buzzed again. The goodbye she didn't know was final. Days later, Chisom stood outside her apartment with her luggage. Snow crunched under her boots. Her driver loaded her bags into the car. "Finally done," Amaka said, hugging her. "You'll miss me." Chisom smiled. "I already do." "Liar," they both laughed. But as Chisom got into the car, her expression changed. She looked out the window, at the campus, at the life she was leaving behind. Something didn't sit right. "Wait," she suddenly said. The driver paused. "Yes, madam." Chisom hesitated. Her eyes scanned the area, as if expecting something, or someone. But there was nothing. She exhaled slowly. "It's nothing. Let's go." The car drove off, and with it, another missed chance. Arrival without knowing. Later that same day, Desmond stood at the campus gate, dragging his suitcase behind him. He looked around, taking in his new environment, unaware that the person he had been searching for all his life had just left minutes earlier. A new chapter begins. Desmond settled into his studies quickly. Just like before, he stood out. Not because he tried to impress anyone, but because excellence followed him naturally. Lecturers noticed. Students respected him. One professor even said, "You think like someone who sees beyond the present." Desmond simply replied, "I had to." But the heart remembers. At night, when everything was quiet, when the snow fell softly outside his window, Desmond would sit by his desk, staring into space, thinking, not about wealth, not about success, but about a promise. "Where are you now?" he whispered. Meanwhile, back home, Chisom returned to Lagos. The city welcomed her with warmth, noise, and familiarity. But something inside her felt incomplete. One evening, she sat alone in her luxurious room. Soft lighting, modern decor, everything perfectly arranged. Yet it felt empty. Her mother walked in. "You should be happy. You've finished your studies." Chisom nodded slowly. "I am," but her voice didn't carry joy. Her mother studied her. "You're still thinking about him, aren't you?" Chisom didn't deny it this time. "Yes." Her mother sighed. "You need to move on." Chisom looked up, her eyes calm but firm. "No." Two worlds, one promise. Across continents, across time, two hearts still held on to something most people would have forgotten. Not because it was easy, but because it was real. Sometimes destiny doesn't fail. It simply delays. Because the right moment requires the right versions of people. And they were still becoming. Canada changed Desmond in ways no classroom ever could. It stripped him of comfort, forced him into discipline, and shaped him into someone who didn't just dream anymore, but executed. Snowy mornings became routine. Sleepless nights became normal. Coffee replaced rest, and ambition replaced doubt. But one thing never changed: silence. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of something missing. The machine he became, Desmond's life became a cycle. Lecture halls, computer labs, coding sessions that stretched into midnight, then back again. His professors noticed quickly. Mr. Desmond, one of them said after reviewing his project, this is not student-level work, this is industry-level thinking. Desmond simply nodded. I just try to solve problems. Another lecturer shook his head in disbelief. You don't just solve problems, you anticipate them. But Desmond wasn't interested in praise. He was interested in direction. A direction that always, quietly, returned to one memory. A mango tree, a small hand, a promise. The friend who never understood him. David would call occasionally from Nigeria. Guy, Canada sweet be? David asked over video call one night. Desmond leaned back in his chair. It's cold. Nah lie, you just dey humble brag. I'm serious. David laughed. So you never see Canadian babes carry you go winter relationship? Desmond smirked faintly. I didn't come here for that. Then why you come? A pause. Desmond looked away slightly. To build something. David nodded slowly. You don't change. Desmond replied calmly. I had to. But after the call ended, the room felt emptier. The opportunity that changed everything. It started with a university project, then became a prototype, then a startup idea. Desmond and two classmates built a system designed to solve real-time data inefficiencies in small businesses. At first, it was just academic. Then a professor introduced them to a tech incubator. Within months, everything escalated. Investors noticed, mentors stepped in, and suddenly, Desmond wasn't just a student anymore. He was a founder in the making. The first breakthrough. One evening, as snow fell heavily outside, Desmond sat in a glass-walled incubator office. Screens glowed around him. His system had just been tested live. It worked flawlessly. One of the investors leaned back, impressed. This is impressive. Very impressive. Another nodded. We can scale this. Silence filled the room. Then someone asked the question that would change everything. What's your vision for this company? Desmond didn't hesitate. I want to build technology that connects people faster than distance can separate them. The room paused. Then one of the mentors smiled. That's not a startup answer. That's a legacy answer. Desmond didn't smile back, because for him, it wasn't business. It was personal. The call that meant nothing and everything. That night, his phone rang. He almost ignored it. But something made him answer. Hello? A familiar voice crackled faintly through the line. Desmond. He froze. Mom? Yes, she said softly. How are you? I'm fine, he replied. A pause. Then, we are proud of you. Silence. Desmond didn't respond immediately, because proud felt too small for everything he had sacrificed. Finally, he said quietly, Thank you. But after the call ended, he didn't feel proud. He felt tired. Back in Nigeria. A falling empire. Meanwhile, in Lagos, Chisom sat in a boardroom that no longer felt powerful. Her father's company was shrinking. Reports on the table told the same story in different ways. Losses, debt, declining partnerships. The once golden empire was cracking. Her father rubbed his forehead. We need a strong investor. Her mother added quickly, or a strategic merger. Chisom looked at them and understood immediately what that meant. No, she said firmly. Her mother frowned. You don't even know the proposal yet. Chisom stood up. I don't need to. Her father sighed. Chisom, this is business. She turned to him. No, she said calmly. This is my life. And then she walked out. A different kind of wealth. Months later, Desmond received his first major payout from the incubator deal. It was more money than his parents had ever seen in their lives. He sent it home immediately. That same week, construction began on a duplex in Enugu. Modern design, clean lines, glass balconies, smart home system, minimalist luxury that quietly whispered success. When his mother saw the plans, she cried. My son, she whispered, you have changed our life. Desmond nodded slowly. Yes, he said, but in his mind, he wasn't done yet. The silence between success. Despite everything he was achieving, Desmond remained quiet. No partying, no distractions, no romantic relationships. His colleagues joked about it. You're allergic to fun, one of them said. Desmond replied calmly, I'm focused. But at night, when the office was empty, When the city lights reflected off his laptop screen, he would pause and think, not about investors, not about success, but about a girl who once promised to stand beside him. Success had found Desmond, but silence still followed him, because some parts of life don't grow with achievement. They grow with time. And somewhere in Lagos, and somewhere in the world, another life was still moving toward his, without knowing it. Lagos glittered at night, like nothing was wrong. From the top floor of Chisam's family mansion in Lekki, the city looked untouchable. Endless lights, luxury cars sliding through smooth roads, music drifting from distant rooftops. But inside the house, everything was cracking. A beautiful house with heavy silence. The living room was a masterpiece of modern Nigerian luxury. Floor-to-ceiling glass windows, polished marble floors that reflected soft golden lighting, velvet cream sofas arranged perfectly around a sculpted center table, and abstract art that screamed money without saying a word. Yet the atmosphere? Tense, cold, unsettled. Chisam sat at one end of the long sofa, legs crossed, fingers tapping lightly against her phone. Her father stood by the window, staring out at the city, like he could force answers out of it. Her mother paced the room in slow, restless steps. Finally, "We cannot continue like this," her father said quietly. Chisam didn't look up. "Then don't," her mother stopped walking. "What kind of response is that?" Chisam lifted her gaze now, calm but firm, an honest one. The truth no one wanted to say. Her father turned around slowly. "Our company is failing," he said. The words hung heavily in the air, even though they all already knew it. Chisam nodded once. "I know." Her mother folded her arms. "Do you understand what that means?" "Yes," Chisam replied. "It means we fix it." Her mother scoffed. "With what? Motivation?" Chisam leaned forward slightly. "With strategy, with innovation, with work." Her mother laughed dryly. "You think this is a school project?" Chisam's voice dropped. "No, I think this is exactly why we are here." Silence again. "The proposal." Her father walked back to the sofa and sat down slowly. "There is an option," he said carefully. Chisam already felt it. "No," she said immediately. "You haven't even heard it," her mother snapped. "I don't need to," Chisam replied. Her mother's eyes sharpened. "You will marry into a stronger family." There it was, plain, cold, transactional. Chisam stood up slowly. "Mummy, this is not about feelings," her mother continued. "This is about survival." Chisam laughed, but there was no humor in it. "So I am now an investment plan?" Her father sighed. "It's not like that. It is exactly like that," she cut in. "Drama meets humor." Her mother walked closer, lowering her voice. "The man's family is very wealthy. Their son." Chisam blinked. "What son? Do you know whether I love him or he loves me?" Her mother nodded. "Yes." Chisam stared at her, then burst into laughter. "Ah, so now you people want to upgrade from business merger to confusion merger." Her father tried not to smile. Her mother frowned deeply. "This is not a joke." Chisam wiped imaginary tears. "Mummy, please, at least marry me to a man if you want to sell me. Don't add plot twist." Her father coughed to hide his laugh. Her mother shot him a look. He straightened immediately. "No, no." Chisam shook her head, still smiling faintly. "You people are unbelievable." The one name that still mattered. Her mother crossed her arms again. "If not this, then what do you want?" Chisam's expression changed instantly. Serious, grounded, clear. "There is only one person I will ever marry." Her parents exchanged glances. Her father asked quietly, "Who?" She didn't hesitate. "Desmond." The name landed like thunder. Her mother closed her eyes briefly. "Not this again." "After all these years?" Chisam nodded. "Yes, a daughter who refused to bend." Her mother walked away in frustration. "That boy again. That poor boy from Enugu." Chisam's voice remained calm. "He is not poor." "You don't even know where he is," her mother fired back. "I will find him." Her mother turned sharply. "And if he is nothing?" Chisam held her gaze. "Then I will build with him." Silence. Heavy, unshakable. The weight of love. Later that night, Chisam stood alone on the balcony. The city stretched endlessly before her. Wind brushed gently against her face. She wrapped her arms around herself. "Where are you?" she whispered. Tears formed, but she didn't let them fall. "I kept my promise," she said softly. Meanwhile, a different kind of rise. Far away, Desmond stood in his office in Canada. Glass walls, clean desks, quiet power. His team celebrated behind him. Their project had just secured a major deal. "You did it," one of his partners shouted. Desmond nodded slightly, but his mind wasn't fully there, because at that exact moment, somewhere in Lagos, someone was still choosing him, without knowing what he had become. The breaking point. The next morning, back in Lagos, the tension returned stronger. Her father placed new documents on the table. "We are running out of time," he said. Chisholm didn't sit. "I said no." Her mother's voice rose. "Do you want this company to collapse?" Chisholm stepped closer. "No," she said, "but I will not lose myself trying to save it." Her father looked at her long and hard, then sighed. For the first time, he saw it clearly. This wasn't stubbornness. This was conviction. One empire was falling, another was rising, and between them stood a promise that refused to break. Even under pressure, even under time, even under fear, hope can be stubborn. Even when logic says, "Let go," hope whispers, "Try one more time." For Chisholm, that whisper refused to die. A decision that shook the house. It started on a quiet morning. No arguments, no drama, no announcement. Chisholm simply walked into the dining room, dressed casually, phone in hand, eyes calm but determined. Her mother looked up from her tea. "You're up early." Chisholm nodded. "I'm traveling." Her father paused mid-bite. "Traveling? Where?" She met his eyes. "Enugu." The spoon dropped from her mother's hand with a sharp clink. "No," she said instantly. Chisholm didn't raise her voice. "I'm not asking." Her mother stood up. "You are not going anywhere." Chisholm tilted her head slightly. "Watch me." Her father raised both hands. "Chisholm, calm down." "I am calm," she replied. "That's why I'm going now, before somebody suggests marriage again." Her father almost laughed. Her mother did not. The journey back. Hours later, Chisholm sat by the window of her flight, watching Lagos shrink beneath her. Her heart beat faster with every passing minute. Enugu, the place where everything started, the place where she last saw him. She closed her eyes briefly. "What if he's not there?" she whispered. But then she shook her head. He has to be. A town full of memories. Enugu welcomed her with a familiar warmth. The air felt different, slower, kinder, like time here didn't rush people. As her car drove through the streets, memories flooded back. The small shops, the dusty roads, the laughter of children playing barefoot. And then she saw it. The mango tree, still standing, still strong. Her breath caught. "Stop the car," she said softly. The driver slowed. "Madam? Please, just stop." She stepped out slowly, walked toward it, touched the trunk gently. Her fingers trembled. "You're still here," she whispered. For a moment, it felt like time had folded, like she was that little girl again, waiting, laughing, promising. The house that held answers. Desmond's family house had changed. No longer the struggling home she remembered. Now it stood as a beautiful duplex. Modern design, clean walls, glass balcony, quiet elegance that spoke of growth without arrogance. Chisholm stared at it in shock. "This is his house?" she asked softly. Her heart swelled with pride. "He did it," she whispered. She walked to the gate slowly, then knocked. The reunion that wasn't. The door opened. Desmond's mother stood there. For a moment, she didn't recognize Chisholm, but then her eyes widened. "Chisholm?" Chisholm smiled through nervous emotion. "Good afternoon, Ma." "My daughter," the woman exclaimed, pulling her into a warm hug. "Look at you." Chisholm laughed softly, holding her tightly. "I've missed you," she said. "We missed you too," the woman replied. "Come inside." Hope, then silence. They sat in the living room, simple but elegant, modern furniture, soft lighting, a calm atmosphere that felt like peace. Chisholm looked around, her eyes searching. Where is he? Desmond's mother hesitated. That small pause said everything. Chisholm's smile faded slightly. He's not around? Her father sighed. He left. The words hit softly, but deeply. Left? Where? She asked quietly. Canada, his mother said. Silence. Chisholm blinked, then forced a small laugh. Canada? She repeated. That's funny, because she had just come from there. The mischance, her chest tightened. I was there, she whispered. I studied there. Desmond's parents exchanged looks. When? His father asked. I just returned, she said. Another silence. A painful one. Because now it was clear. They hadn't just missed each other once. They had missed each other twice. Desperation creeps in. Chisholm leaned forward quickly. Please, his number. I need to talk to him. Desmond's mother nodded immediately. Of course, she hurried to get it. Chisholm held her phone tightly, her fingers trembling as she dialed. It rang. Then, call failed. She tried again. Nothing. Again. Still nothing. Her heart began to sink. Why is it not going through? She murmured. Desmond's father spoke gently. He travels a lot. Maybe he's in transit. Chisholm swallowed. Or maybe, just maybe, they had missed each other again. The truth that broke her. As she sat there processing everything, something clicked. She looked up slowly. Auntie, she said carefully, did you know he was in Lagos before? Desmond's mother nodded. Yes, he studied there. Chisholm's breath caught. Her eyes slowly turned toward the floor. Then back up. My mother knew, she whispered. It wasn't a question. It was realization. Painful, clear, intentional. Her chest tightened. All those years, all those mere moments, not accidents, decisions. The tears she couldn't hide. She stood up suddenly. I should go, she said quickly. Stay small. Desmond's mother tried, but Chisholm shook her head. No, if I stay, I will cry, she said honestly. They walked her to the door. Before leaving, she turned back. Please, if he comes back, tell him I came. Her voice broke slightly. Tell him I didn't forget. Desmond's mother nodded, her eyes soft. I will. A broken return. As the car drove away from the house, Chisholm finally let the tears fall. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet pain. I was so close, she whispered. Meanwhile, a different arrival. At that same time, miles away, Desmond stepped out of a plane in Lagos. He adjusted his jacket, taking in the familiar heat. A small smile touched his lips. I'm back, he said, unaware that the person he had been searching for had just left the place he was about to visit. They were no longer separated by years, not even by countries, just by timing, and sometimes that is the hardest distance to cross. Lagos didn't welcome you gently. It tested you. It watched you. And if you survived long enough, it rewarded you. Arrival with purpose. As Desmond stepped out of the airport, the heat wrapped around him like a familiar embrace. He inhaled deeply. This is home, he murmured. Cars honked aggressively. Street vendors shouted. The city pulsed with raw energy. But Desmond didn't feel overwhelmed. He felt ready. No luggage of confusion, no distractions, just vision. A black SUV pulled up. Mr. Desmond, the driver asked. He nodded. Yes. As he entered the car, he glanced out the window, watching Lagos move like a living organism. Time to build, he said quietly. A secret plan. Desmond didn't go to Enugu immediately. He went straight to Lagos Island. Not Lekki luxury, not flashy spaces, but a strategic, quiet location where ideas could grow without noise. Inside a modest office space, bare walls, simple desks, one strong internet connection, Desmond set up his base. No announcement, no social media, no noise, just work. His first hire was a quiet but brilliant developer. Second, a sharp business strategist. Third, someone who understood Nigerian markets deeply. They sat together on plastic chairs the first day. No air conditioning, just determination. Desmond stood in front of them. This company, he said, will not just exist, it will dominate. One of them laughed nervously. With this fan that is not working? Desmond smiled. We will buy better fan. The hustle phase, the first year was brutal. No shortcuts, no easy wins. They pitched ideas, got rejected, refined again, got ignored, improved again. Some days they worked 18 hours straight. Other days they argued over strategy. Your pricing model no-go work for Nigeria, his strategist insisted. It will, Desmond replied calmly. We just need to position it right. Position them how? Nigerians like free things. We give them value they can't ignore. Silence, then a slow nod. They kept going. The first breakthrough. 6 months in, everything changed. A mid-sized company tested their system. It worked. Efficient, fast, reliable. Word spread quietly, then quickly, then uncontrollably. Who built this software? Which company be this? These guys are different. Desmond's phone began to ring more often. Emails increased, meetings multiplied, and suddenly, they weren't chasing opportunities anymore. Opportunities were chasing them. Growth with discipline. 1 year later, the office had changed. Glass doors, modern desks, soft lighting, minimalist design, a reflection of quiet success. But Desmond didn't allow celebration to slow them down. During a team meeting, one staff member said, "Boss, we don blow. Make we relax small." Desmond looked at him, then leaned back. "We haven't started," he said. The room went silent. "Success is not when people know your name," he continued. "It's when they can't ignore your impact." No one argued. This wasn't just business for him. It was mission. The name that started circulating. By the 3rd year, Lagos knew. Not fully, but enough. There's a new tech company, the CEO Young O. They say he's very strict, but the results? Crazy. Investors started paying attention. Big players started asking questions. Competitors started watching. And in high-end business circles, whispers began. Who is this Desmond? Luxury, but not loud. Desmond finally moved into a penthouse in Lekki. Modern Nigerian luxury at its finest. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Warm, ambient lighting. Minimalist black and gold interior. Smart home system controlling everything with a touch. But the space reflected him. Clean, calm, focused, not excessive. One evening, David visited. He walked in and froze. "Jesus Christ," he shouted. "Guy, now here you dey live?" Desmond chuckled. "Relax." David touched the wall. "This wall alone fit pay my school fees." Desmond shook his head. David flopped onto the couch. "So, this is what you've been doing since." He paused, then smiled. "You actually did it." Desmond sat across from him. "I'm just getting started." David pointed at him. "You know de normal." The silent space in his heart. Later that night, after David left, Desmond stood by the window. The city lights stretched endlessly before him. Everything he had once imagined was now real. The company, the success, the lifestyle. But something was missing. He knew exactly what. He picked up his phone, scrolled through contacts, paused, then dropped it. "What if," he started, then stopped. Because after all these years, he still didn't know where she was. Meanwhile, a different reality. Back in another part of Lagos, Chisom sat in her office. The contrast was painful. Same city, different realities. Her office was still luxurious, but the energy was heavy. Files piled up, calls unanswered, pressure everywhere. An assistant walked in nervously. "Ma, the investors are asking again." Chisom closed her eyes briefly. "I'll handle it," she said. But deep down, she knew time was running out. One rose, one struggled, both still connected by something stronger than distance. Because sometimes, the person meant to save you is the one you were never supposed to lose. Desperation changes people. It softens pride, it bends ego, and sometimes it forces you to face the very thing you once rejected. A house that no longer felt like power. The same luxurious living room in Lekki now felt smaller. The marble floors still shined, the gold accents still glowed, the velvet sofas still looked perfect. But the energy? heavy, uneasy, defeated. Chisholm's father sat quietly, staring at financial reports spread across the glass table. Her mother paced again, this time faster. "We cannot continue like this," she said, her voice tighter than usual. Her father didn't argue, because for once, she was right. "The name that brought hope." "I heard something," her father said slowly. Her mother stopped pacing. "What?" "There's a new tech company in Lagos." She frowned. "So?" "They're different," he continued. "Efficient, fast, growing rapidly." Her mother's eyes narrowed slightly. "And?" "They solve problems like ours." Silence. Then, "Who owns it?" she asked. He hesitated. "A young man, single, very successful." Her mother's expression changed instantly. Hope, strategy, opportunity. "A young, single, successful man," she repeated thoughtfully. Her father sighed. "Don't start." Too late. She had already started. "A dangerous idea." "We meet him," she said firmly. Her father nodded slowly. "Yes, for business." She tilted her head slightly. "And, if possible—" "No," he cut in immediately. She ignored him. "We build a relationship." He stared at her. "You mean business relationship?" She gave him a look. He sighed deeply. "You want to use Chisholm again." "I want to save this family," she corrected sharply. The conversation they feared. That evening, they called Chisholm into the living room. She walked in calmly, dressed in a simple but elegant outfit, her posture confident despite everything happening around her. "You called me?" she asked. Her father gestured for her to sit. She didn't. "I'm fine standing." Her mother exchanged a look with her father, then spoke carefully. "There is someone we want you to meet." Chisholm's eyes narrowed slightly. "No." Her mother blinked. "You haven't heard." "I don't need to," Chisholm replied. Her father raised a hand. "Just listen first." She crossed her arms but said nothing. Drama meets reality again. Her mother took a deep breath. "He is the CEO of a very successful tech company. Young, rich, influential." Chisholm raised an eyebrow. "So?" Her mother hesitated slightly, then said it. "We believe he can help save the company." Chisholm nodded slowly. "Good," she said. "Then go and meet him." Her parents blinked. Her mother frowned. "That's not all." Chisholm sighed. "Of course it's not." The line she refused to cross. "We want you to consider building something with him," her mother said carefully. Chisholm tilted her head. "Business?" Her mother didn't answer immediately. That silence said everything. Chisholm laughed softly. "Mummy, you are consistent," she said. "This is serious," her mother snapped. "That's why my answer is still no." The funny explosion. Her mother threw her hands up. "What is wrong with you?" Chisholm smiled slightly. "Many things, but this is not one of them." Her father tried to intervene. "Chisholm, think about it." "I have," she cut in. Her mother pointed at her. "You are about to lose everything." Chisholm stepped closer. "Then let it go," she said quietly. "The name that ended the argument." "There is only one man I will ever marry," Chisholm continued. Her mother closed her eyes. "Please don't say Desmond." Silence. Again. Heavy. Unavoidable. Her father rubbed his forehead. "This again." Chisholm's voice didn't shake. "Yes, this again." A daughter who could not be bought. Her mother walked closer, lowering her voice. "What if this man is better than him?" Chisholm smiled faintly. "Then he should marry someone better." Her father almost choked, trying not to laugh. Her mother glared at him. "This is not funny." Chisholm shook her head gently. "You can fix the company," she said, "but you cannot trade me." Her father stood up slowly. For the first time, he sounded tired. "Chisholm, please," he said quietly. "We are running out of options." That word, "please," it softened something in her, but not enough. "I will help you fix the company," she said, "but not like this." Her mother looked frustrated. "Then how?" Chisholm answered simply, "On merit." The decision they made without her. Later that night, her parents sat alone. The house was quiet. Her mother sighed heavily. She will not agree. Her father nodded. So what do we do? She asked. He looked at her, then said what neither of them wanted to admit. We go ourselves. She hesitated. Then slowly, she nodded. Meanwhile, the man they were about to meet. Across the city, in a high-rise building wrapped in glass and ambition, Desmond sat in his office. The interior was stunning. Matte black desk, soft gold lighting, minimalist decor. A silent power that filled the room without effort. He reviewed a document calmly, focused, unbothered, unaware that the next people about to walk into his life were the same ones who once walked him out of theirs. Sometimes, life comes full circle. Not gently, not politely, but with a quiet irony that forces everyone to remember who they were and who they chose to become. A visit they never imagined. The building alone was intimidating. Tall, glass-covered, silent power. Chisholm's parents stepped out of their car slowly, both dressed in their finest, yet for the first time in years, wealth didn't feel like enough. Her mother adjusted her designer handbag nervously. Are we early? She asked. Her father checked his watch. No, we're right on time. But his voice lacked its usual confidence. Because this wasn't just any meeting. This was survival. The walk of humility. Inside, the reception area was breathtaking. Minimalist luxury. Soft lighting. Marble floors. Quiet efficiency. No noise, no chaos. Just order. A receptionist greeted them with a polite smile. Good afternoon. Do you have an appointment? Yes, her father replied. We're here to see the CEO. Please have a seat. They sat and waited, something they weren't used to doing. Her mother leaned closer and whispered, This place, it's different. Her father nodded slowly. This man is not ordinary. The man behind the power. Upstairs behind a sleek black door, Desmond sat calmly at his desk. Matte black surface, gold accents, floor-to-ceiling windows revealing Lagos in all its restless beauty. His assistant stood before him. Sir, your next appointment is here. Desmond nodded. Send them in. Sir, it's a couple. They seem important. Desmond leaned back slightly. Everyone is important, he replied calmly. But as the names were mentioned, he paused, just for a second. Then a faint smile touched his lips. So, life has brought you back, he murmured. The entrance. The door opened. Chisholm's parents walked in, and for a moment, time folded. They saw a man, confident, composed, powerful, but they didn't see the boy. Not yet. Good afternoon, sir, her father greeted respectfully. Desmond stood up slowly. Good afternoon, he replied. His voice was calm, controlled, unreadable. Please have a seat. They sat, carefully, like people stepping into unknown territory. Business first, or so they thought. Her father cleared his throat. We've heard a lot about your company, he began. Desmond nodded slightly. I hope only good things. A small, polite laugh. Yes, very good things. Her mother leaned forward. Your solutions are impressive. Thank you. Short answers, no extra words, no emotion. It made them slightly uncomfortable. The proposal. We would like to discuss a potential partnership, her father continued. Desmond folded his hands. What kind of partnership? Her father hesitated slightly. Our company is facing some challenges. Desmond raised an eyebrow slightly. I'm aware. That caught them off guard. You are? Her mother asked. I keep track of industries, he replied calmly. Silence. They exchanged a quick glance. The rejection that shook them. Desmond leaned back. I'm not interested. Just like that. No hesitation, no negotiation. Her mother blinked. I beg your pardon? I said I'm not interested. Perhaps you didn't fully understand. I understand perfectly, Desmond interrupted calmly. The room tightened. Her mother's voice softened, desperation creeping in. Please, just hear us out. Desmond didn't respond immediately. He simply watched them, studied them, the same people who once looked at him and saw nothing. The begging begins. Her father leaned forward. This partnership could be beneficial for both sides. Desmond remained silent. Her mother added quickly. We are willing to negotiate terms. Still nothing. Then, Her father said quietly, "We need this." That word again, need. Desmond's eyes softened, just slightly, but his face didn't show it. The reveal. He stood up slowly, walked around the desk, closer, closer, until he stood directly in front of them. They looked up at him, confused. Then he spoke. "You don't recognize me?" They frowned. Her mother squinted slightly. Her father shook his head. "No." Desmond smiled faintly, not mocking, not bitter, just calm truth. "I'm the boy," he said quietly. A pause. "The one from Enugu." Silence. Deep, heavy, explosive, shock and realization. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. "No." Her father stood up abruptly. "It's not possible." Desmond nodded slightly. "It is." Her mother stepped back. "You, Desmond?" He held her gaze. "Yes." The room shifted. Power changed direction. Everything they believed collapsed in seconds. Humility arrives late. Her father lowered his head slowly. This is." He couldn't finish. Her mother's voice trembled. "We didn't know." Desmond nodded. "I know." Silence again, but this time it wasn't tense. It was reflective. A little humor to break the weight. Her mother suddenly said, half crying, half laughing, "So all this time, we were chasing our solution, and it was chasing us from Enugu?" Desmond chuckled softly. "Something like that." Her father sighed deeply. Life has a sense of humor. The name that brought everything back. Her mother looked up suddenly. "Chisholm." Desmond's expression changed instantly. Soft, careful. "How is she?" he asked. That one question carried years of silence. Her father smiled faintly. "She never forgot you." Desmond exhaled slowly. "Neither did I." A new beginning. Her father straightened, this time not as a proud businessman, but as a man who understood something deeper. "We were wrong," he said simply. Desmond didn't rush to respond, because some truths didn't need immediate answers. The boy they once rejected had become the man they needed, and the love they tried to separate was now the bridge that could save them all. The news that changed everything. The moment Chisholm's parents left Desmond's office, they didn't speak. Not in the elevator. Not in the car. Silence followed them like a confession. Finally, her mother broke it. "Call her." Her father didn't argue. For the first time in years, they weren't trying to control the story. They were trying to fix it. A call she almost ignored. Chisholm sat in her office, staring at documents she wasn't reading. Her phone rang. She glanced at it. "Dad." She hesitated, then answered. "Hello, sir." Chisholm, his voice was different, softer, careful. She frowned slightly. "Is everything okay?" A pause. Then, "We met him." Silence. Her heart skipped. "Met who?" she asked, though she already knew. "Desmond." Everything inside her froze. Her hand tightened around the phone. "What did you say?" "We're at his office," her father continued gently. "You should come." She stood up immediately. "I'm coming." No questions, just movement. The drive that felt like a lifetime. Traffic didn't help. Lagos traffic never helped. Cars crawled forward like they had nowhere to be. Chisholm tapped her foot impatiently. "Can this car fly?" she snapped. The driver coughed nervously. "Madam, I will try my best." "Please do better than your best," she muttered. She checked her reflection quickly, then shook her head. "This is not a fashion show. Focus." Her heart was racing too fast. What if it's really him? What if it's not? What if I'm too late again? She closed her eyes briefly. "Not this time," she whispered. The door that held everything. She arrived, stepped out of the car before it fully stopped, walked into the building with urgency. The receptionist tried to stop her. "Ma, do you have an appointment?" "I'm the appointment," she said, and kept walking. The moment of truth. She reached the office door, paused. Her hand hovered over the handle. For a second, fear crept in. After all these years, what if everything had changed? Then she remembered. The mango tree, the promise, the years she refused to let go. She pushed the door open. Eyes that never forgot. Desmond stood by the window. Her parents sat quietly nearby. He turned. Their eyes met. And just like that, time collapsed. No explanations needed. No introductions required. It was him. It was her. "Desmond," she whispered. He stepped forward slowly. "Chisholm." Her breath broke. Then she ran. The hug that carried years. She collided into him, holding him tightly like she was afraid the world might steal him again. "You kept disappearing," she cried, hitting his chest lightly between sobs. "Every time I came, you had just left." Desmond laughed softly, holding her close. "And you kept traveling to where I just left," he replied. She pulled back slightly, tears on her face. "This is not funny." He smiled gently. "A little bit funny." She tried to stay angry, but failed. Then she hugged him again, tighter. "I missed you," she whispered. Desmond closed his eyes briefly. Parents watching destiny. Across the room, her parents watched quietly. No interruptions, no control. Just witnesses. Her mother wiped her eyes. Her father shook his head slowly. "All these years," he murmured. The questions that didn't matter anymore. Chisholm finally pulled back, looking at Desmond properly. "You changed," she said. Desmond smiled slightly. "You too." She looked around his office, then back at him. "So, you're the big CEO everybody is talking about?" "Something like that." She narrowed her eyes playfully. "You didn't even tell me you were rich." He raised an eyebrow. "You didn't pick my calls." She gasped. "You didn't call." "I tried." "I tried too." They both paused, then burst into laughter. The funny truth, her father cleared his throat. "So, both of you were just missing each other professionally." Chisholm turned. "Daddy, please, this is emotional moment." Her mother added, "Very expensive emotional moment." Desmond chuckled. The decision that came naturally. The laughter faded. Silence returned. But this time, it was peaceful. Desmond looked at Chisholm. "Stay," he said quietly. She didn't even think. "I'm not going anywhere." Business meets love properly this time. Her father stepped forward. "About the company." Desmond raised a hand gently. "We'll talk about that later." Then looked at Chisholm again. "This is more important." She smiled. "Very correct." A new chapter begins. That evening they left the office together, side by side, not separated by distance anymore, not delayed by timing, just aligned. Finally, after years of missed chances, they didn't miss this one. Because some connections, no matter how delayed, are impossible to break. A new beginning, carefully prepared. This time nothing was rushed, no sudden decisions, no pressure, no interference. Desmond and Chisholm planned their wedding like people who understood the value of time, because they had lost so much of it already. Every detail mattered, not because of status, but because of meaning. The proposal that felt like destiny. It happened quietly. One evening on Desmond's penthouse balcony, Lagos glowing beneath them like a sea of stars. Chisholm leaned against the glass railing, her hair moving gently with the wind. "This city is loud," she said softly. Desmond stood behind her. "But it brought you back." She smiled, then turned and froze. Desmond was on one knee, simple, no crowd, no cameras, just truth. "I promised you something under a mango tree," he said gently. Her eyes filled instantly. "And I've spent my whole life trying to keep that promise." He opened the ring box. "Will you finally stay, forever?" Chisholm laughed through tears. "You are asking me now?" He smiled. "I'm confirming." She nodded quickly. "Yes." Then added, "I've been ready since I was 7. Preparations with love and laughter. The weeks that followed were filled with planning and chaos. David took his role very seriously. "Best man is not easy work," he announced one afternoon, sitting in Desmond's living room with a notebook. "You have notebook?" Desmond asked. "Yes, this wedding must be organized." Chisholm looked over his shoulder. Why is there food tasting? Priority written 5 times. David didn't look up. Focus on your lane, bride. Parents, now allies. Chisholm's parents changed completely. Her mother personally supervised the decor. This wedding must be classy, she said, directing decorators. Her father handled logistics like a man on a mission. No mistakes, he warned. This is not just a wedding, this is correction. Chisholm laughed. Daddy, relax. I cannot relax, he replied. I am redeeming my reputation. The morning of the wedding. The day arrived. Soft sunlight spread across Lagos, calm and golden. At Desmond's penthouse, everything was in motion, stylists adjusting suits, shoes polished, music playing softly in the background. Desmond stood still in front of the mirror. White tuxedo, sharp, clean, effortless, but his eyes were thoughtful. David walked in and paused. Guy, he said slowly, you look like person wait on finally complete side quest. Desmond laughed. You are not serious. I'm serious. From I will marry Mango Girl to I don marry Mango Woman. This is growth. Desmond shook his head, smiling. At the bridal suite, Chisholm sat gracefully as her veil was adjusted. Her dress flowed like quiet elegance, nothing excessive, but impossible to ignore. She looked at herself in the mirror, not just beautiful, certain. Her mother stood behind her. You look perfect, she said softly. Chisholm turned. You're crying already? I will cry more later, her mother replied honestly. Her father walked in, paused, then exhaled deeply. My daughter. He shook his head. You did well. Chisholm hugged him tightly. I chose well. The ceremony begins. The church was breathtaking. White roses lined the aisle. Soft gold ribbons tied every seat. Gentle music filled the air. Guests filled the space. Family, friends, business associates. David stood at the altar, adjusting his suit nervously. Why am I sweating? He whispered. Desmond replied calmly. Because you talk too much. The walk that closed the years. The doors opened. Everyone turned. Chisholm stood there, radiant, calm, real. Every step she took carried years of waiting. Desmond watched her like nothing else existed, because in that moment, nothing else did. The funny interruption. As she reached the altar, David leaned slightly and whispered loudly, Last chance, my guy. Desmond didn't look at him. Face front, he replied calmly. The crowd laughed. Chisholm shook her head. Your friend needs help. Serious help, Desmond agreed. The vows that meant more than words. The officiating minister smiled. This union has already survived distance, time, and trials. He turned to Desmond. Do you take Chisholm? Desmond didn't blink. I do. Then to Chisholm. She held his gaze. I've always done. Then smiled. I do. The kiss that ended the wait. When Desmond lifted her veil, his hands were steady. His eyes, soft, grateful, certain. He kissed her, and the room erupted. Applause, cheers, joy. Not just for a wedding, but for a story completed. A reception full of life. The reception hall was stunning. Glass walls, crystal lights, modern Nigerian luxury at its peak. Music filled the space. Laughter echoed. David grabbed the mic at some point. I just want to say, he began, if you lose your childhood love, check Canada. They might be there. The crowd burst into laughter. Desmond shook his head. I regret choosing you. The dance of forever. As the music softened, Desmond pulled Chisholm closer. They swayed gently. No more missing, she whispered. Never again, he replied. What began under a mango tree ended at an altar. Not because life was easy, but because love was stronger. And this time, it stayed. Some love stories are not written in a straight line. They are stretched across time, tested by distance, shaken by decisions, and refined by growth. Desmond and Chisholm didn't just fall in love, they held on to love. Through separation, through missed chances, through pain, silence, and uncertainty. And in the end, what brought them back together wasn't luck. It was consistency of the heart. Never underestimate humble beginnings. Never look down on people because of where they are today. And never give up on something real just because life makes it difficult. Because sometimes, the person you walk away from today might be the answer you pray for tomorrow. And true love, it may take time, but it always finds its way back home. If this story touched you, inspired you, or made you believe in love again, don't forget to like, share with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more powerful, emotional, and unforgettable stories like this. More beautiful stories are coming. Stay with me.